The 16 Days of Activism for No Violence Against Women and Children campaign, the Africa Media Fund and its international convoy announced the Winnie Mandela Cup, a women's soccer tournament aimed at intensifying the fight against gender-based violence globally. For more on that, we now welcome Dr. Khumoetsile Moetse, who is the executive head of the Africa Media Fund. A very warm welcome to you, Doctor, and thank you so very much for being with us here on SABC News.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
As a start, I just think it's quite interesting that you chose to name the tournament after the late stalwart Winnie Mandela. Why?
Mama Winnie Mandela is the mother of our nation, the mother of our democracy and revolution for freedom. We believe that what she went through in the hands of the apartheid government really is what today's women, modern women, are still really going through in the hands of men that they fought with side by side for their freedom. We believe that it's not yet uhuru for women, and we believe that there's many things that can be done and learned from her as a revolutionary, as a social worker, and her life in its totality and what she did for the revolutionary struggle of our freedom. So that's why we chose her.
How do you envisage that something like women's soccer can be used to intensify the fight against GBV?
Sports is a unifier, and we believe that at least most people around the world love football. So we have used therefore football as a catalyst to unify, for social cohesion, to unify people, to unify humanity, to unify civil society as we hold hands to fight the scourge. So the football in itself really is just a catalyst. It's also a catalyst to stimulate enterprise development. The course remains intensifying the fight against gender-based violence. That's the course. But with football, we are saying, let's unify our people. Let's give them a platform. Let's give women platform also for opportunities that may arise out of this tournament. Obviously, when you're hosting a tournament, there's so many other related sectors. There is media involved, there's film involved, there's entertainment, catering, event management. So this is just also another platform to be able to empower women. And not only that, also an opportunity for investors that are interested in the sports infrastructure development to come on board also to be able to contribute and lay on the ground those types of infrastructure projects that can be able to be used by these women, whether those that are affected directly or indirectly by gender-based violence. It's also really an honor, in honor of the struggle veteran Mama Winnie Mandela, as you already said.
Just tell me really how the makeup of this tournament will be. I mean, maybe just on a basic level, which teams are playing, who's up against who, that kind of a thing. We hardly get to see women's soccer, except maybe on a larger scale when we have the Women's World Cup, for example. And of course, we know our ladies, Banyana, have been doing well, but they don't really get the spotlight that I think that they deserve. So how will this play out? Just explain to us and those people who really want to actually partake, apart from on a business level, but in terms of coming to actually watch and be part of this.
Yes, I think first and foremost, let me just emphasize that this is an international tournament, although it will be hosted in South Africa. We have primarily the 5 national women's teams from the BRICS countries primarily. We also have interest, we've got other countries around the continent that have expressed interest to participate. So we are looking at a 3-day tournament where these teams will play against each other. And of course, we are investing heavily in the digital infrastructure side of it so that we can also use 4IR to be able to create solutions and make sure that there's connectivity across the world for women around the world and men and youth around the world to be able to be part of these activities. Pre, post, and during the tournament, there will be other activities on the sidelines, film festivals. There's productions that are happening. Yeah. But in terms of participating, There will be, of course, we are in a COVID pandemic right now. We're not sure whether at the time we'll be allowed to fill up stadiums. In the absence of being able to fill up stadiums, we will provide digital platforms for people around the world to be able to watch the football games.
Whenever I hear about activities around or pre the 16 days of activism for violence against women and children, I always ask this question, and I don't want to sound like a party pooper, but I always ask, we always have these where we highlight these causes, these activities, these events that are supposed to highlight the scourge of GBV. But after these events, we carry on, and our society still faces these alarming levels and rates of gender-based violence. In terms of this tournament, in terms of looking forward, post the tournament, post everything, what are you thinking in terms of addressing the issues that will carry on even after the tournament when it comes to GBV? In terms of the partnerships you would have made during the time that you're having this tournament, do you have at this point any kind of plans in terms of really addressing the core of what this tournament is about in the long run?
Yes. Thank you for that question. Beyond the tournament, really, we are saying collaboration is important because there's already a lot of good causes that are happening, campaigns, events, activities. Ours really, it's a program. It's a long-term program which started with, obviously an infrastructure development. We have set up a fund that can be able to prioritize the role of women as far as the economy is concerned. Putting together infrastructure for them to be able to do what they do best. But beyond the tournament, we have projects that we have looked at, that we have screened as the African Fund after an overwhelming response when we launched last year. Some of these projects we have then looked at and said, well, look, this project may not be investment ready at the time, but we can actually take it into our enterprise development program. So we've got projects of that nature whereby women will be receiving assistance as far as their small businesses are concerned. Our message is simple as the Africa Media Fund. We are helping and we are edifying and we are adding on and also collaborating with what is already being done by government and what is being done by society at large. We're not professing to have the entire solution just by ourselves. Our focus really is on the economic side, gender-based violence as it affects women from thriving economically. So those are the projects that we've been looking at. We have shortlisted some, and of course, we will be opening up for more projects to apply, from NGOs to small businesses, really, that are, of course, in line with the vision and in line with the sectors in which we operate. So those projects will receive proceeds, obviously, from an NGO point of view. Those good causes will receive a portion of the proceeds of the tournament, and over and above that, there'll be investments that'll be going into those programs and projects that talk to the ethos of what we are trying to do. We believe that a lot has been done in terms of campaigning, and I agree with you fully, in terms of events, protests and all of that, and it still needs to be done. However, from an economic point of view, issues of sexual harassment, really, issues of economic abuse are really not addressed to an extent that women are empowered enough to be able to walk away from situations that are not healthy for them. So that's what really we are saying. We're closing that gap to say, how do we then elevate the role of women economically to make sure that, it represents, the economy represents the true demographic and geographics of country, and also the constituted, because 52% of the population, which is women, it means we are not moving forward as humanity. So that's our angle, and that's what we are looking at.
All right. Well, Doc, just in closing then, for those people who want to, I mean, you opened the door at the beginning of the conversation, so I'm throwing it back at you and asking you, for those people who do indeed want to form some sort of partnership, or they feel there's something they can add to this tournament, there's a wide range of people who might be listening at the moment who really want to partake. How do they then sort of get in touch with you, Doc? How do they, get to pitch, or whatever the situation is? How do they get hold of you?
This is a humanitarian effort, so we do encourage collaboration, and we will be writing. We have identified courses that are in line with what we are trying to achieve. So we've written to some of them, and we'll continue to identify and write to them. Those that recognize us and that want to work with us that we perhaps have missed, really, they are welcome to reach out to us. We will be putting up the website, which we are launching on the 19th of November. The official launch will be on the 19th of November. So the website will be up on the 19th of November. It will be unveiled, and contact will be provided in terms of that. Matches will be using technology a lot and media, in the main social media, to connect with members of civil society. We will also make sure that we have platforms ready for people that want to participate and collaborate with us. So details will be published beyond the launch.
All right, Dr. Moetse, it was a great pleasure having you on the show and speaking to you. Best of luck, and certainly we'll catch up with you closer to the time as you launch. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's Dr. Khumoetsile Moetse, who, of course, is the head of this launch that's coming through the Winnie Mandela Cup, and will certainly stay abreast of what's happening with that.